Marvel released its latest teaser image in the build-up to X-Men's Inferno storyline, which is coming to Krakoa this fall. The image is a direct follow-up from the very first teaser image that was released for the House of X and Powers of 10 stories that set this whole Hickman era into motion. There are some obvious similarities and callbacks between these two images, and we'll get into some of that, but first I must point out that not everything teased in this Hoxpox image ended up coming true. Like, I didn't see Firestar or X-Baby Havok or Sikorsky play a part in Hoxpox, so everything in these teaser images must be taken with a grain of salt. The same can be said for the Ten of Swords teaser image, which was released kind of in the same vein as these two, and if you stack them all up together, they all look really nice, but I took the same issue with it. What is teased is not necessarily what is promised, and there are several swords in this image that I'm still mourning that we never got to see, like Armor's broadsword and Scalp Hunter's gun sword, and even Cyclops' optic saber. Regardless, this Inferno teaser image does feel like it has a lot of relevance in it, just based on the storylines that we have been seeing happening in the current books, and I do feel like we can glean some actual possibilities just by looking at it. In its press release for Inferno, Marvel has pretty much confirmed that this is indeed going to be Mystique's Inferno, and that it's going to be focused on her revenge against Charles and Magneto for stringing her along for so long. Inferno is set to be a 4-issue limited series dropping this fall, so while I guess it won't be a full-fledged crossover between all the titles, I am sure that the Inferno's heat will be felt in all of them regardless. I'm going to quickly break down everything that came to my mind whenever I saw this teaser image, and hopefully some of it resonates with the Greater X mythos. Charles and Moira. So let's start things off with the centerpiece here, Charles and Moira. Them sitting on this bench is one of the direct parallels from the first teaser image, but now, instead of being cordial and united, they seem to be facing opposite directions from one another, which, I think is meant to insinuate that a disagreement will be coming between them that will have them both heading in different directions for what they see of the future of mankind to be. I have no idea right now what that difference of opinion might end up being, but I assume that it's something that's going to be coming from Destiny's diaries, and maybe Moira will want to shake things up a bit, while Charles will want to maintain the status quo. I'm still not unconvinced that Moira has just been playing Charles this entire time, so maybe we'll get some sort of revelation there too. Magneto. Magneto's placement in this image is also kind of a callback to the first image. In that one, he was directly center of both Moira and Charles, kind of insinuating like a united front, but in this one, he's slightly askew and looks to be more on the Charles side than the Moira side, which could be insinuating that he'll be siding with Charles in this rift that's going to come. But if you look closely at Magneto's face, he almost looks like he has some sort of guilt or reluctance in his expression. Maybe he sides with Charles but has like reservations about it. Or maybe he's pretending to side with Charles but he's actually siding with Moira and feels guilty about it. It could also just be a fallout from whatever's going to happen to him at the trial, so maybe the expression means nothing, but this is just where my mind went when I saw him. Emma. Emma is very interesting to me in this image. She's slightly askew behind Charles, but in front of Magneto, which I don't know if it means anything, but the fact that Magneto isn't directly behind Charles and that he's got like an upcoming trial of some sort coming up could mean that their relationship gets a little bit rocky. Is Emma the one who's going to rock that boat? I don't know. If you look at her eyes, though, I think they are peering in the direction of the rift that's between Charles and Moira. So I wonder if that's meant to insinuate that Emma plans to fill that void herself and come between them, or that she's going to maybe like play both sides. She's definitely played double agent before in her past, so it's not like that's new territory for her, but I do think that Emma is going to have a pivotal role in either ousting Moira, or ousting Charles, or ousting everybody, because she seems to already know more than she's letting on these days. I still wouldn't be surprised if she and Moira are secretly working together in some way, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Mystique and Destiny. Mystique and Destiny are going to be some of the major players in this Inferno as well. Destiny does an awful lot of pot stirring for a woman who has been dead for like 3 decades, so I can understand why Moira sees her as the ultimate destroyer of her vision. Mystique's placement here is interesting as well because she's behind Moira, but I don't think that means that she's siding with Moira. She's holding Destiny's mask, which looks like it's been turned into a helmet of some sort, which I'm guessing might be like her answer to Charles's Cerebro helmet, except instead of being for telepaths, this Destiny helmet might help her predict the future or something. Maybe it could help her communicate with Destiny from beyond the grave. Either way, it looks like she's just taken the helmet off and has been enlightened, so maybe the helmet itself is just a metaphor and it's meant to show that Mystique is realizing the truth of Krakoa's dirty secrets through Destiny. It also kind of looks like she's putting the mask on Moira, so that could mean that Mystique is ready to enact Destiny's plan to burn down Krakoa and stuff Moira out of her hiding place. She looks very calm and very prepared and just like she's ready for action here. Something that might be an interesting twist to come out of this event would be if Moira and Mystique end up actually teaming up in the end. Maybe Moira reads something in Destiny's diaries and only Mystique can help her do it, so they cut a deal about resurrecting Destiny behind Charles's back. Regardless, Moira better watch her own back because Mystique looks like she's ready to stab it here in this image. So those are the 6 characters that are going to be the major players in this Inferno as far as I'm concerned. They have the cleanest through lines here with the most to both gain and to lose. So I think they will be the linchpins of whatever happens to the future of Krakoa. Everyone else in this image might be a little bit more murky in terms of what the story means for them, but let's just keep going and break down this image some more. Bishop, Psylocke, Magik, and Cyclops. These 4 characters are all aligned at the front edges of the image, looking like they're ready to attack and defend Krakoa. Bishop, Cyclops, and Magik are all captains in the Krakoa hierarchy, so with Psylocke being placed with them, I think it's clearly indicating that she's going to be taking Gorgon's place as his replacement in the captain's hierarchy. Gorgon was killed during the Ten of Swords tournament, and his resurrected self would be basically a totally different version of himself, making him maybe like unfit to be a captain anymore. Psylocke, however, is a natural fit as a replacement for him because she's just as lethal as he was, and she would be a great fit as the Council's personal bodyguard. The way these 4 characters are like in battle formation and ready to attack and strike means to me that they are either going to be on the front lines of defending Krakoa from whatever's threatening it, be it like an outside source or an enemy from within. Jean, Wolverine, Gambit, Havok, and Polaris. These 5 characters are shown to be fallen on the ground of Krakoa amidst everybody else. It kind of makes me feel like they were defeated by the 4 captains, which could suggest that these 5 characters are going to be siding with Mystique in whatever revolution it is that she seeks to have happen through this Inferno. I'm really not sure how any of these characters could be connected to Mystique though, except for Havok, who has been lobbying for Madelyne Pryor's resurrection, and so him teaming up with Mystique would make sense because they both want people resurrected who are on the resurrection ban list. But Jean, Wolvie, Gambit, and Polaris I don't really get here. They could also end up wanting people from their past who they want to have resurrected as well, and we just don't know about that yet, and maybe they get refused and that's enough for them to side with Mystique, but other than that, I don't really know. A very early theory of mine during Hoxpox was that all these X-Men were just like clones or something, sort of like the Secret Invasion Skrull style, except that they are like plant-based clones being produced by Krakoa, which, I mean, isn't totally wrong. Jean never really felt like herself to me during Krakoa, and with the green mini dress supposedly being a clue to some sort of greater storyline concerning her character, the natural conclusion for me to draw here is that this wasn't our Jean, so maybe these characters are all revealed to be clones or fakes or something, and that's why they are felled. This part of the image feels like an homage to the original Inferno teaser image, where a bunch of characters were splayed out over the ground in defeat as well, so even though Madelyne Pryor isn't explicitly featured in this new Inferno teaser image, it does still feel like her essence will be felt here in some way. The 5. The 5 are going to be important as ever in this storyline because I really feel like whatever happens is going to be all based around the fairness of the resurrection protocols, and these 5 characters are the cogs that run that machine, so of course they must play a role. Beyond resurrecting though, these 5 characters haven't really had like individual storylines in the longest time, so I'm hoping that we can begin to see some individuality here again amongst them. Based on their placement in this image, it would appear as though they're choosing the Charles side over the Moira side, but not all of them look happy about it. Eva Bell looks like she's either bored or in deep thought about something, which might be her considering things, and Elixir also looks like he's reluctantly chosen a side. I think it would be interesting to see a rift start to form between these 5 characters, because without them working in unison together, the resurrection protocols would be in trouble. This would be particularly interesting if some of them start to develop ethical concerns regarding the precog and clone ban list. Then I could totally see some internal strife developing there. Bay, Cypher, and Warlock. This one is interesting to me because I think their placement tells a unique tale between the 3 of them. It looks like Doug is concerned or scared of something, and as though he's clinging to Bay for protection. They are technically on Moira's side of the image, so if they do end up choosing Moira's side, maybe what she's got in store is really scary for them. Bay, on the other hand, looks like she might be annoyed at Doug. Is she starting to see him as weak? I guess the real question is, what is Doug afraid of here? Part of me thinks that they might all move to Araco together and that he's just terrified of the prospect of being on that island. Is Bay's look of consternation toward Doug maybe actually just a look of concern? Like, maybe she's worried for him and this is just how she shows it. She is kind of hard to read after all. Warlock is the most interesting part of this trio for me though. Where he and Doug are usually inseparable, it looks like he is now taking a backseat to Doug's marriage with Bay. Warlock is pretty emotionally stunted, and he doesn't really know how to navigate his own emotions, so if he does end up feeling ignored by Doug, I could see him not knowing how to react to that. Here, it looks like he's trying to maybe get Doug's attention by being his goofy self, but it just isn't working. I think it could also be interesting if it tries to get Doug's attention by emulating Doug's actions, and maybe that means developing feelings for Bay. He kind of looks like he might be smiling Bay's way, so if Warlock does develop feelings for her, even if they are just like totally synthetic feelings, maybe some sort of weird love triangle fueled by jealousy will develop out of this, which could be kind of fun. Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler looks like he's just teleported himself over to Moira's side, which I think could imply that he's going to go through some sort of transformative arc. His Way of X book is all about exploring the philosophy and religion and secrets of Krakoa, so I could totally see him discovering some things that really shake his beliefs in the system, and he has to reevaluate everything about himself. I like seeing Kurt get more hardened, which I think is what is going to happen in Way of X. So if this image is about them choosing sides and he does side with Moira, then I think that could be an interesting character development for him, especially since I think Moira is kind of going to be painted as like a villain in this Inferno arc, and so Nightcrawler might become more villainous as well. Kate and Shaw. Kate is looking like she's still angry at Sebastian in this image. Even though she's already got her revenge against him, it looks like that satisfaction might not last, and he's standing behind her, probably ready to kill her again. Though, if you look at Sebastian, he doesn't seem too concerned with her. Maybe now that Emma is busy dealing with Moira and Charles, Shaw tries to take Kitty under his wing and groom her to be more on his side of Hellfire instead of on Emma's side. I'm not sure that Kate would fall for that though. She's got her fists up with her Kill Shaw tats on her knuckles, and she's looking at him as though she's ready to fight. This could just mean that she has her guard up against him, and without Emma around, she probably feels as though she really has to be on her toes when it comes to Shaw. He's a mastermind who could even be playing them right now without even realizing it, and so even though I think dragging out this Kate versus Shaw storyline would be like a little bit tired, I am curious to see if Shaw does plan to get his revenge on her, and what better way to do that than by bringing her over to the dark side. Storm. Honestly, I don't expect Storm to be really involved in this storyline whatsoever. The way she's flying and looking off toward the stars here really just indicates to me that she's going to be ascended to a higher place by the time that Inferno rolls around, and she'll be busy ruling over Mars. I go over this theory of mine in one of my other videos, so be sure to check that one out if you want to know more of what I think. I think the fact that she's still dressed in her HELLFIRE Gala clothes here indicates that her time on Earth is basically going to be done right after the HELLFIRE Gala ends, and that she's going to be whisked away so quickly that she wouldn't even have had time to change her outfit. Exodus and Sinister. This is the part of the image that has me most excited. Exodus and Sinister are on opposing sides here, definitely getting in each other's business, and I really want to see a throwdown happen between them. Exodus has been severely underused ever since he joined the Krakoan Council, and it's about time that they gave him a decent storyline. He and Sinister have not gotten along at all since having to be allies, and it looks like their feud is finally going to come to a head. I'm really looking forward to their cape drama to just end, because even though it was funny once, it feels like constantly going back to the cape and the palettes is just like nailing a joke over the head a few million times too many, and I just want to see some actual fighting and plotting between them. Whether Exodus chooses Moira's side and Sinister chooses Charles's side, as this image sort of lends us to believe, I don't know, but I do think that they'll be on opposing sides of whatever sides they go on in this Inferno war, and it's about damn time. Krakoa. Lastly, the true individual stuck in the middle of all of this mutant drama is Krakoa, the living island. The fallout of Inferno will most notably affect him of all people, and in this image, he looks kind of somber, as though he's accepted his fate, or like maybe he's deciding himself what he wants to do. His trees are burning in a fire behind him, so even though I'm sure that's just meant to be metaphorical, it does not bode well for him as a living entity, and perhaps there's an outcome of this story where Krakoa actually does go up in physical flames and dies, and then all of the mutants have to move to Arakko. That would be a very sad story, and my heart would break for Krakoa as a character if that happened, so I really do hope that Inferno is just being used as a concept here and not as a literal flame. And that's everyone in this image. There are a few omissions here that are notable to me though. I do think that Madeline Pryor will be playing a role in this, but it could just end up being her in name as opposed to in body, as she's likely to be the reason behind Havok joining Mystique's forces, if that's what's going to happen. Marvel's press release also indicated that Nimrod was going to be playing a big role here, which means Orcus will be as well, and I'm still 100% convinced that Nanny will be up to no good with her little right baby too. So if you want to hear any of those theories, head over to my first Inferno video where I go over my initial predictions of what I thought this storyline might be about. Overall, I think this sounds like a very fun and promising event, and I can't wait for Moira's story to continue and to see how it will affect the X-Men's new reality. Please let me know what you think of this overanalyzation that I did here. I mean, I personally think I nailed it, but I always love being surprised by what Marvel comes up with in the end, and I'm curious to know what everyone else is thinking from this image. If you like this video, please be sure to browse my channel for more X-Men content. I create a lot of reviews and rankings and just ruminations in general, so there's fun for the whole family. You can also follow my exploits on social media, which is basically just me posting random panels from random comics and trying to be occasionally funny in the captions. Thanks for stopping by and watching this video today, and be sure to come back soon for more Great X-Mentations.